With the regular season officially over and the playoffs underway, I thought it'd be a good time to drop some rankings. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in today's video, as today I picked out the best player from every team and I'm going to be ranking each of these players 1 through 30. And I did my best to eliminate recency bias. I basically just want to pick out the best player from every team who I would want today and ranking them 1 through 30. And one other thing before we get started today, I want to mention that I do say best hitter, best offensive player in this video a lot, and when looking at these players, I'm also accounting defense, so I'm just looking at all in all the best position player, I guess you could say, but I just want to clear that up because I am factoring in defense when looking at these offensive players today. Not trying to make this too long of a video, so let's get right into the rankings. Coming in at number 30, I have the Detroit Tigers' Riley Green. The Tigers are far and away the worst hitting team in baseball, so it's not too big of a surprise here to see their best hitter ranked last. Coming into the year, Green was the top prospect in all of baseball, and he didn't play too great as in 93 games he hit .253 to go along with 5 home runs and a .682 OPS. He's going to be a very good player in the future, but right now he's just simply not a great hitter, but he is the best hitter on the Tigers. Coming in at number 29, I have the San Francisco Giants' Thairo Estrada. Estrada put together a pretty solid campaign this year as in 140 games he hit .260 to go along with 14 home runs and 21 stolen bases. I don't want to take anything away from Estrada, I think he had a good season, but if he's your best offensive player, then you're not in very good hands. Moving on, at number 28, I have the Washington Nationals' Joey Meneses. Meneses is a 30-year-old rookie who really broke through this year, as in 56 games he hit .324 to go along with 13 home runs and a .930 OPS. And with those numbers, you think he would be ranked a lot higher than 28, but I'm just not too sure this is very sustainable for Meneses. I mean, he's really never been a highly ranked prospect, so best hitter on the Nationals, but not a very, very good hitter overall. At number 27, I have the Cincinnati Reds' Tyler Stevenson. Stevenson had a very good year behind the plate, but he did only play in 50 games. In those 50 games, he hit .319 to go along with 6 home runs and an .854 OPS. Stevenson, like many other players towards the bottom of the list, is a good hitter, but if he's the best hitter on your offense, you're not going to be too great. At number 26, I have the Oakland A's' Sean Murphy. Murphy is a pretty solid offensive backstop, as on the year in 148 games, he hit .250 to go along with 18 home runs and 66 runs driven in. So he is one of the better offensive catchers in the game today, but as we all know, the Oakland A's aren't in a very good spot right now, and they don't have very many good players at all, so Murphy's a solid player, but I have him coming in at number 26. Moving on to number 25, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates' Ke'Bryan Hayes. Hayes at this point in his career isn't a very good offensive player, as in 136 games he only hit .244 to go along with 7 home runs. But the big reason why I put him above a couple of other players on this list is because he led all of baseball with 24 defensive runs saved. He is an elite defender over at third base, and while he has a long way to go offensively, I think he's a very important player for Pittsburgh and the best offensive player at that. Moving on to number 24, I have the Colorado Rockies' CJ Cron. Cron had a solid year, as in 150 games he hit 29 home runs to go along with 102 runs driven in. And throughout his career, he has proven that he can hit for power outside of Coors Field, so while his numbers most likely are a little bit boosted by Coors Field, he's still a very solid hitter. Moving on to number 23, I have the Chicago Cubs' Nico Hoerner. Hoerner is a really underrated player, and I think he's the best offensive player on Chicago. Hoerner was very good this year, as in 135 games he hit .281 to go along with 10 home runs, 20 stolen bases, a 4.5 WAR, and 10 defensive runs saved. He's all around a solid player, and I have him coming in at number 23. At number 22, I have the Tampa Bay Rays' Randy Arozarena. Arozarena is a very solid source of power and speed on the base paths, as this year he had 20 home runs to go along with 32 stolen bases. The Rays do have other talented bats in Yandy Diaz and Wander Franco, but right now I think Arozarena slightly outedges them. At number 21, I have the Chicago White Sox' Jose Abreu. Abreu may not be what he once was offensively, but I still think he is the best White Sox offensive player. He is getting up there in age at 35 years old, but I still think he has a couple years left in the tank. At number 20, I have the Milwaukee Brewers' Willy Adames. Adames has really grown into a very good all-around player. He has good power, as he hit 31 home runs this year, and he also is a very good defensive shortstop, as he had 9 defensive runs saved. Adames is a very solid player, and I think he's the best Brewer hitter. At number 19, I have the Miami Marlins' Jazz Chisholm Jr. Chisholm, while only playing in 60 games this year, left his mark as he hit 14 home runs to go along with 12 stolen bases and an 860 OPS. If this guy can stay healthy, he's going to be one of the best offensive bats in baseball, and I think he's a 30 home run, 30 stolen base threat. At number 18, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks' Dalton Varsho. Varsho put together a very good season this year, as in 151 games he had 27 home runs to go along with 16 stolen bases, a 4.9 WAR, and 16 defensive runs saved. On top of being a very good defensive outfielder, he can also catch, so this guy is a very valuable asset to the Diamondbacks, and I think he's all around a very good and underrated player. At number 17, I have the Kansas City Royals' Bobby Witt Jr. Witt put together an impressive rookie campaign this year in which he had 20 home runs to go along with 30 stolen bases in 150 games. I would put him a little bit higher, but I think he was the worst defensive player in baseball this year. He had negative 22 defensive runs saved, so he has a lot of work to do defensively, but there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a superstar, and he's the best offensive player on the Royals. At number 16, I have the Minnesota Twins' Carlos Correa. Correa didn't replicate the career year he put up last year, but he was still very solid for the Twins. I still do think he's the best offensive player on Minnesota. I was close to putting players like Byron Buxton and Luis Arraez, but I think Carlos Correa is just a little bit better. At number 15, I have the Boston Red Sox' Rafael Devers. Devers did have a bit of a down year for his standards, as on the year in 141 games he hit 295 to go along with 27 home runs. And he did have a very down year defensively as well, but he's still a very good hitter and the best offensive bat on the Red Sox. At number 14, I have the Texas Rangers' Marcus Semien. Semien quietly had a really good first year in Texas, as on the year in 161 games he had 26 home runs, 25 stolen bases, a 5.7 WAR, and 10 defensive runs saved. He is all around a very good player. He really has no weaknesses in his game, and he's always out there on the field as he seems to barely ever miss any time. At number 13, I have the Toronto Blue Jays' Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Coming off an impressive 2021 campaign, Guerrero didn't necessarily live up to the expectations this year. He played in all but 2 games where he hit 32 home runs to go along with 97 runs driven in and an 818 OPS. But in my eyes, he's still the best offensive player on the Blue Jays and one of the best offensive players in all of baseball. At number 12, I have the Baltimore Orioles' Adley Rutschman. It looks like Rutschman may very well be the American League Rookie of the Year favorite, all while only playing in 113 games. But in those 113 games, he put up 13 home runs, a 5.2 WAR, and 18 defensive runs saved behind the plate. He's far and away the best defensive catcher in baseball today, and he is a future star, if not already a star. At number 11, I have the Atlanta Braves' Austin Riley. Now this is one of the few that I may have a bit of recency bias with, because I know a lot of people are going to think Ronald Acuna is the best offensive bat on Atlanta. But Riley is just a star, as this year in 159 games he hit 38 home runs to go along with an 878 OPS and a 6.5 WAR. I don't catch too many Braves games, but Atlanta fans really seem to rave over this guy, and he is a really, really good player. Moving on to number 10, I have the Seattle Mariners' Julio Rodriguez. Rodriguez put together a spectacular rookie campaign, as in 132 games he hit 284 to go along with 28 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and a 6.0 WAR. He was also named to the American League All-Star team and is going to win the Rookie of the Year award in the American League, so this guy is a future star in the making and the best offensive player on the Mariners right now. At number 9, I have the New York Mets' Francisco Lindor. This one's really personal preference between Alonso and Lindor, but I think Lindor is a little bit better of a player. This year, in 161 games, Lindor had 26 home runs to go along with 107 runs driven in, 16 stolen bases, and a 5.4 WAR. He is an extremely important player to the Mets and was a huge reason why they were so successful in the regular season this year, and I have him as the best offensive player on the Mets. At number 8, I have the Houston Astros' Yordan Alvarez. There are so many players you can pick with this one. The Astros are so talented offensively, but with what Alvarez did this year, I think he stands out from the rest. This year, in 135 games, he hit 306 to go along with 37 home runs, a 1019 OPS, and a 6.8 WAR. Alvarez is a stud and is one of the best pure power hitters in the game today, and I think he is going to be a big piece to the Astros' postseason run. At number 7, I have the Los Angeles Angels' Mike Trout. Trout only played in 119 games this year, but in those 119 games, he hit 283 to go along with 40 home runs, a 999 OPS, and a 6.3 WAR. He may not be what he once was, but he is still at this level one of the best players in the game today, and I think he's the best offensive player for the Angels. Moving on, at number 6, I have the St. Louis Cardinals' Nolan Arenado. Arenado put together another ridiculous campaign, as on the year in 148 games he had 30 home runs, 103 runs driven in, a 7.9 WAR, and 19 defensive runs saved. Offensively and defensively, he's one of the best players in the game today, and I think he's the best offensive player, slightly over Paul Goldschmidt on the Cardinals. At number 5, I have the Cleveland Guardians' Jose Ramirez. Ramirez put up yet another season in which he posted MVP caliber numbers. In 157 games, he hit .282 along with 29 home runs, 126 runs driven in, 20 stolen bases, an .869 OPS, and a 6.0 WAR. He continues to show us year in and year out why he's one of the best players in baseball today, and I have him as the best hitter on the Guardians. At number 4, I have the San Diego Padres' Manny Machado. This may be another one that I am using a bit of recency bias because Juan Soto, you can very well argue, is a better player, but Machado just had a ridiculous year. In 150 games, Machado hit .298 to go along with 32 home runs, an .898 OPS, and a 6.8 WAR. On top of that, he's a very good defensive third baseman, so he's really the whole package, and I think he is the best offensive player on the Padres right now. At number 3, I have the Philadelphia Phillies' Bryce Harper. Some people may think I'm overrating him here, and he did miss a lot of time this year, but when on the field, this guy is the best of the best. In 99 games this year, he hit .286 to go along with 18 home runs, 11 stolen bases, and an .877 OPS. He may be the most important player in baseball when looking at the Phillies, especially because of just how important he is to that team. You take Harper off that team, and I don't think they're quite the same. Moving on, at number 2, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers' Mookie Betts. There is competition here with Trey Turner and Freddie Freeman, but I think Mookie Betts has just separated himself from the rest. This year, in 142 games, Betts hit .269 to go along with 35 home runs, 12 stolen bases, a 6.4 WAR, and on top of that, he's an elite defender as he had 15 defensive runs saved. Betts, in my eyes, is a top 3 player in baseball today, and I have him coming in as the best player on the Dodgers and number 2 on this list. And at number 1, I have the New York Yankees' Aaron Judge. After what Judge did this year, I really could not go anywhere else with this one. On the year, in 157 games, Judge hit .311 to go along with 62 home runs, 131 runs driven in, 16 stolen bases, an 11.11 OPS, and a 10.6 WAR. He was far and away the most valuable player in baseball this year. You take him off the Yankees and they're not even going to win the American League East. Judge is easily the best offensive player on the Yankees, and he ranks number 1 on today's list. So there you have my list for the best hitter / offensive player from every team in baseball, ranked 1 through 30. Let me know what you guys think down below, anything you agree on or disagree on. And as always, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching and continuing to support, and I'll see you next time.